When society collapses, the first threats to reach your home won't be gangs or raiders. It'll be the desperate, the hungry, the scared, the people you once knew. This isn't a tale of fantastical villains or apocalyptic monsters. It's about real people, your neighbors, your friends, grappling with the shock of a world turned upside down. It's about understanding the raw, emotional, and often unpredictable side of human behavior when put under stress. In the immediate aftermath of a societal collapse, the first faces you'll see will be those of your neighbors. These are the folks you've shared a wave with, perhaps even a barbecue. They're not strangers, but familiar faces, now etched with confusion and fear, thrust into chaos just like you. The first 24 hours are a maelstrom of uncertainty. People are grappling with the shock, trying to make sense of the new reality. It's a time when emotions run high and logic is often left by the wayside. You'll notice a flurry of activity, a hive of confusion, people frantically seeking answers, looking for guidance, searching for a semblance of order amid the disorder. Your door may become a beacon for these lost souls. They'll knock not with demands, but with questions. They'll seek information, news from outside, anything that might help them understand what's happening. They'll look to you for comfort, for reassurance, for a face that isn't twisted with panic. But as much as you may want to help, to ease their fears, remember that there are boundaries that need to be maintained. This is a time to keep your wits about you, to guard your operational security. It's crucial to be mindful of what you reveal. Information, after all, is a valuable commodity. And in a world that's just turned upside down, it's one of the few you have control over. Now, this isn't about turning your back on your fellow man. Far from it. It's about understanding that in these early hours, your best defense is information and leadership. By maintaining your calm, by projecting a sense of control, you can provide a much-needed anchor in a sea of chaos. But remember, the line between leadership and vulnerability is a fine one. Walk it with care. As the sun sets on this first day, the world as you knew it has changed. But remember, this is just the beginning. The first 24 hours are a prelude to what's to come, and your actions, your decisions in these initial hours, will shape your survival in the days that follow. Next, you'll meet the quiet beggars, those who come to your door with their heads bowed in shame. These are the individuals who in the normal world would be your friends, your neighbors, the people you see every day. Now they stand in front of you, stripped of their pride, their gaze fixed on the ground, too embarrassed to meet your eyes. They are the parents who've run out of food for their children, the elderly neighbors who need medication, the folks who thought they had more time before society collapsed. They come to you not out of greed, but out of desperation. They are not threats, but their desperation can become one if not properly managed. This is where the emotional pressure kicks in. You see, survival is not just about physical toughness or preparedness. It's about emotional resilience. Guilt, sympathy, empathy. These are feelings that can cloud your judgment and push you to give away more than you can afford. It's not about being heartless. It's about being realistic. You have to understand that your resources are limited. Every can of food, every tablet of medicine, every gallon of water you give away is one less for you and your loved ones. It's a harsh truth, but it's a truth nonetheless. That's why it's crucial to learn how to manage your resources wisely. You have to think long-term. You have to prioritize. You have to make tough decisions. Because in a world where resources are scarce, generosity can be a luxury you can't afford. Then there are the opportunists, those who come to you with a smile and a story. These aren't the desperate or the violent, not yet anyway. They show up at your door with a friendly demeanor, a tale of woe, and a knack for manipulation. Their goal? Your supplies. They want what you've got, and they're not above using flattery, guilt, or persuasion to get it. Now the opportunists are a tricky bunch to deal with. They're not blatantly aggressive or visibly desperate. Instead, they're subtly cunning, making it harder to turn them away. But it's crucial to remember that every morsel you part with is one less in your reserves. And in a time of societal collapse, every bit of sustenance is precious. So, how do you identify these opportunists? One red flag is an overly friendly demeanor. Remember, these are not ordinary times. People are scared, confused, and desperate. Excessive cheerfulness or charm can be a mask for ulterior motives. Another sign might be an overemphasis on their misfortune. While many will genuinely be suffering, opportunists use their hard luck stories as a tool to pry open your supplies. Another thing to bear in mind is your own behavior. Appearing weak or overly generous can make you a target. It's a delicate balance to strike, maintaining your humanity while also protecting your resources. Just remember, in a world turned upside down, your first responsibility is to yourself and your immediate loved ones. And finally, always trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore that gut feeling. It's been honed over thousands of years of evolution for a reason. So, stay vigilant. Stay discerning. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about surviving smart. Recognizing the red flags early can save you from becoming a target later. You'll also encounter people you know personally, those who thought you'd take care of them. It's a startling reality that, when the world as we know it crumbles, those familiar faces, coworkers, relatives, old friends, will show up at your doorstep. Not necessarily because they're opportunistic or malicious, but because they're desperate. They never prepared, always assuming that someone else would have their back when things went south, and now, they're counting on you. Imagine your old college roommate, the one who used to borrow your notes, standing at your door with a helpless look in their eyes. Or your cousin, who never took your survival talk seriously, now pleading for your help. These are the people who'll say things like, "You're a prepper, right? You must have something to spare." It's a heart-wrenching situation. These are people you shared laughs with, people you have history with, but now they're potential threats to your survival. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but in a world where resources are scarce, every mouth you feed is one less meal for you and your immediate family. Turning them away won't be easy. Every fiber of your being might scream in protest, urging you to help. But remember, the number one rule of survival is to ensure your own safety first. Letting too many people in, no matter how well you know them, can jeopardize your security. One of the most heartbreaking realities, desperate parents. Imagine the door rattling under a hesitant knock, and on your doorstep stand a mother and father, their eyes pleading, their hands empty. They're not here to take, not here to harm, but here to beg. They need food for their children, medicine for their baby, something to keep their family alive when the world outside is crumbling. Their faces are the mirror of a grim reality, one which strikes deep in our hearts. The sight of desperation in parents, the very pillars of strength and protectors of their offspring, is a sight that can shatter even the hardest of hearts. It's a sight that brings out the rawest of human emotions, empathy. But empathy can be a dangerous thing in times of survival. It's a double-edged sword that can either save or destroy. You want to reach out, to help, to give, but you also have to remember that your survival is crucial too. So what can you do? You can show defensive compassion, a little food, a small handout. It might not be much, but it could give them hope. It could buy them time. But remember, strict operational security is key. You can't give away your position, your resources, your survival plans. When desperation evolves into aggression, you'll need to be ready. As society's threads unravel further, the desperation that once knocked politely on your door can morph into a more menacing force. This is when the threats truly begin. Individuals may turn hostile, making demands for food, water, or other supplies. No longer asking, they're telling. These are the people who've realized that their survival may depend on taking rather than pleading. It's a grim transition, but one that's all too possible when the world as we know it is turned upside down. Groups too can pose a threat. They might start canvassing neighborhoods, checking which houses answer their door, or worse, which ones have something worth taking. Strangers might appear, seemingly out of nowhere, their intentions shrouded in the same cloak of desperation. So how can you protect yourself? How can you keep your home safe when aggression comes knocking? The answer lies in a doctrine of silence. Don't answer the door. Stay silent. Stay hidden. Make it appear as if your home is just as abandoned as the one next door. Avoid patterns that might give away your presence. Keep lights off. Avoid producing smells that could indicate you're cooking or burning a fire, and keep noise to a bare minimum. Your goal is to blend in, to become one with the desolation, not stand out. Remember, your home is your fortress. Reinforce it quietly. Make it difficult for someone to break in, but do so in a way that doesn't draw attention to the fact that your home is worth breaking into. Invisibility is your defense. It's not about physical confrontation or showing how well you've prepared. It's about not being seen, not being noticed. It's about letting the threats pass you by, not because they've chosen to, but because they don't know you're there. When desperation evolves into aggression, you'll need to be ready. But remember, in a world gone silent, the loudest sound is existence. The best defense is to become invisible. Later you'll see organized groups moving door to door. These groups are born out of a shared sense of desperation and a calculated understanding of the situation. They could be scavengers, vigilantes, or even opportunistic gangs. each with their own ethos, their own rules, and their own strategies for survival. These groups operate with a cold efficiency. They have leaders, they have ranks, and they have plans. They're not knocking on your door out of desperation. They're knocking because they've identified you as a potential resource. Scouting is a common practice for these groups. They'll watch your home from a distance, observing your routines, your defenses, and your vulnerabilities. Their aim is to understand you better than you understand yourself. So the question is, how do you detect such scouting behavior? It's all about the subtleties, unfamiliar faces lingering near your property, vehicles passing by more frequently than usual, or even an increase in foot traffic around your home. These are all potential signs that you're being watched. But here's the good news. There are ways to reinforce your home quietly. Start by minimizing your visibility. Keep lights off at night. Avoid any loud noises and keep your activities indoors as much as possible. Create the illusion of an empty home. And finally, remember this. Preparation and awareness are your best weapons. They're the tools that will help you navigate this new reality, and they're the keys to your survival. In a societal collapse, people don't break bad overnight. They break slowly, painfully, predictably. We've journeyed through the stages of this grim reality together, seeing the faces of those who might show up at our doors. From the confused neighbors in the first 24 hours, to the quiet beggars, the opportunists, the unprepared friends, the desperate parents, the threats, and finally, the organized groups. Each stage presents its own challenges and requires a unique response. And, let's remember, these aren't villains in a movie. They're people, just like us, pushed into desperation by circumstances beyond their control. They're the people we once knew, friends, neighbors, family. Their desperation is a mirror to our own potential plight. That's why it's essential to plan calmly and smartly. As we look ahead, remember that preparation isn't merely about stockpiling supplies. It's about understanding human behavior, setting boundaries, and maintaining operational security. It's about recognizing the signs of desperation and manipulation, and knowing when to help and when to stay hidden. It's about balancing compassion and survival, and making the hard decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. The desperate will always come first. What you do in those moments decides whether you survive the next wave. So, let's prepare not in fear, but with a clear understanding of the challenges we might face, because surviving people is harder than surviving the wild.